Okay, we have started recording, and I'm going to go ahead and get started on my my presentation this morning. I apologize. I'm just getting situated back with two screens and getting Teams going here as well. So, um, I am Angela Svengross. I am a cannabis accountant. I have um, a remote cannabis tax and accounting firm called Kind Ledger. I entered cannabis about a year ago after being in fixed assets for 22 years and property management accounting. I worked with a lot of Yardi accounting system, if anybody's familiar with that. Um, you can only work in this industry for so long before you start banging your head against the wall and realizing that everybody's kind of sitting on the edge, um, paying very high effective tax rates. There's no um, capital, there's no banking, credit cards, there's no insurance reimbursement. There's just, there really needs to be a lot of legalization in for cannabis. That includes a regulatory structure that does not contradict with the international treaties as well. So what we're hoping to do is resolve all of the conflicts, legal contradictions that we're seeing within the cannabis economy from top to bottom. Um, so I started pulling together Women for Responsible Cannabis Legalization. Um, I'm a DOPE CFO member, so I do work with a lot of compliance professionals in the cannabis space, as well as attorneys, banking, credit unions, insurance brokers, and as well as pharma, and Cannabev. So anyway, moving on. Today we are just going to have um, our initial founding session for the WRCL. And what I'm hoping to do is outline the entire coalition from top to bottom. And I'm going to turn off my camera and get started. And I hope everybody can see the founding, the working session slide that I have up. So today's goal is for the participants to leave with a firm understanding of what each of the lanes and work streams entail. Um, they can, they believe they have one realistic contribution, and I'll present some clear next steps for everyone to get involved. So we would like to let everyone know that this first session that we're having right now is being recorded, and it will be presented to the public on the website and LinkedIn. But going forward, our working sessions will be closed. This is a closed working group. We have a Microsoft platform. There are a lot of individuals coming from different countries and lanes and work streams. And we want to respect that everyone may have institutional constraints on their participation. But we can't let this be an excuse for inaction. Um, I kind of envision WRCL to be the river flowing over the boulders in the riverbed. So where we come up against obstacles, we move on. And that's kind of our position. We're independent, we're volunteers working at a very high expert level. There's no financial compensation. We're not sponsored, we're not funded, and we do not campaign or lobby. We're non political, non-partisan. So WRCL is built for busy people. So as we go into this, please assess your individual availability realistically. We have everything built for busy people. So there is a cap of 5 hours a week for lane leads, and we'll get into that a little bit more later. So if we can't, we understand people are busy. So week by week, as we move through the deliverables, if someone can't be present or deliver an item that week, we can assign that task to another owner so that we're not delayed. Okay. So today we're going to run through a pretty tight agenda. I'm going to get through this pretty quickly so that it's within the core 30 minutes. And then I'm going to leave it open to questions for the last 30 minutes. Please hold off on your questions. I did open up the Q&A. If people have questions, we'll answer everything at the end. So WRCL is a coalition that's led by women, but we are open to all allies across the spectrum with the goal of creating a fully legal whole plant cannabis economy in the United States. That's the goal. That's the mission, a fully legal whole plant cannabis economy. This initiative encompasses the adult use lane, or otherwise known as recreational, the medical and pharma lanes, and also the industrial hemp market. So it must include a comprehensive federal framework that aims to establish a durable international agreement through an interstate treaty agreement. So that's the initial proposal. But this coalition is all about durability and realistic implementation. So we do, we're all looking at options and fallbacks. The mission for descheduling is to remove the plant level criminal scheduling legal contradictions that we have in the United States right now. In order to do that, we have to pair it with the regulation. This is a massive, cohesive federal framework with many pathways based on the product use, that's adult, medical, and hemp, and the risk level. Lastly, we would like to have something that is fully legal and durable and does not contradict at the international level. So we have a third international lane working to integrate domestic legalization with an interstate treaty strategy. or other options or other fallback options. So ultimately, the three-part system effectively addresses the one problem from start to finish, which is we have a huge jumble of legal contradictions, and we need to pull it all together and get this done. Um, the US cannabis economy is at a real tipping point. A lot of people are on the edge of catastrophe, and we need to really focus on what is possible and potential and getting this written and stop getting bogged down in the red tape and bureaucracy and all the reasons why we can't. So, but we must. And so I want the people that realize that this has to be done, um, regardless of the obstacles. And that's the mission. So moving on, one plant, two federal categories. There's the recreational side and the medical side, and industrial hemp has a stake in all of this legislation and regulation as well. We want medical use. We want state legality. We want hemp and cannabinoids to be clear, and domestic reform. So we are working with so many federal and international contradictions that we just need to pull everything into alignment. Some of these documents that are shown here on the right are what are living within the workspace at this time. So there is a lot of information. So what we have are the federal regulatory framework. Um, there are the legal contradictions, the agency roles. The interstate memo is already live on the team site. And we also need to address commerce, finance, taxation, trade, everything. This cannabis plant touches every part of our society. And we need experts to participate from every corner of society to ensure that we're not losing social equity and repair and harm reductions. But I'll keep moving here. So legalizing cannabis domestically does not eliminate the concerns related to our treaty obligations. The UN is really starting to be very unhappy that they have a lot of um, silent tolerance happening out there. So it's our responsibility to address those contradictions and establish something legal and durable. So, as I said before, the treaty alignment does come with options. Um, I am not an expert. I will leave it to the experts to figure out how we can get that accomplished. So the core lanes are the deschedule, regulate, and align. In addition to that, we have the support work streams. This includes the need to integrate hemp. We want to have access to medical care and reimbursement. Finance, banking, credit cards, capital, repair and social equity, strategic communications and press relations. Of course, I would really appreciate someone that can help with messaging and streamlining our message. I am much better in writing than I am or in speaking, so I'll continue. We also need grassroots outreach, and there are some administrative activities on the back end, just in managing membership, scheduling, coordinating, and also our research database is pretty big, and we continue to build that and to nail down what we want to put out. So in the first 30 days, what we would like to do is confirm our lane leads. Uh, we have right now 103 nomination letters out to our best fit leads, advisors, and contributors. So we would like to get all of those back and finalize our communications. Like I said before, this work is being done privately. Some people do not want to be publicly listed, and that isn't, of course, an option. We'll have kickoff dates. We would like to have a weekly meeting for all 3 lanes and a monthly meeting for membership group updates, and pressure test baseline documents, 60 days and 90 days. Of course, this is a living timeline, so it's all flexible. So going forward, our leads are going to, we're trying to cap the lead lanes to having a time commitment of no more than 5 hours a week. The working group contributors, no more than 3 hours a week. For validators and reviewers, we would love to have 1 hour a week. And for the supporters, we would like to be getting together once a month for a 30-minute update. Our operating norms are, we are intentionally women-led, but we are very ally welcoming. We stay very focused on implementation, not the slogans. The public listing, again, is opt-in only. So we're only going to list you if you explicitly want to be. Everything is source-backed, specific, and action-oriented. Your role should match your real capacity. If you just don't have 5 hours a week, then either opt for a co-lead if you have someone that you partner with and would like to share that 5 hours a week. That's great. And there is no cost to participate, and we do not reimburse anyone financially. So today, we would like for everyone to choose a lane, pick the primary lane or work stream where you can help just in the next 30 days. There, in my follow-up email, I will be providing a link to the document that outlines the lane and work streams in detail. Then confirm your role with a Microsoft form that we have online that will ask you what role you would like to take, what your time capacity looks like, and whether or not you would like to be listed or unlisted. Then we would like for you to review one artifact in your lane or work stream and make an introduction. Strengthen the coalition with an introduction to policy, medical, hemp, finance, research, or communications. Um, we are open to inviting policy experts from tobacco industry, um, alcohol, pharma, gambling. The multi-state lottery system is very interesting to us because they have a very good framework in place for digital tracking at a very high volume across state lines. And also, they have the built-in revenue and tax models for um, the, the state silos for those repair and social equity programs. Um, so if you can only do one thing before we wrap up, think about one realistic contribution in one of our lanes or work streams. We will be meeting once a week. I'm going to schedule the next meeting for next Tuesday at this same time. But once the leads take over, they will probably dictate the scheduling on the weekly meetings per lane. So by deschedule, align, or regulate. So that is all for my pitch. And I would like to know if anyone has any questions. Let me check the chat here. Let's figure out how. So does anyone have questions for me? And
Hi,
just to let you,
Angela. Oh, I'm
hi,
sorry.
yeah.
Hi, I need to drop off, but you said there would be a follow-up email, correct?
There will be a follow-up email with a ton of information. Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'll wait for that. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Last week, I'm trying to think, last week's meeting, we had a question about the time commitment, and I hope I covered that. Um, there was someone there from banking and finance that commented that banking and finance people were more than likely going to want to stay unlisted, which is fine. That's not a problem. We also had a question about how we're working with other NGOs and civic and social organizations. And our stance is yes, please come, please come, bring everything you've got. We need to start putting all of these disparate pieces together into something that's practical and actionable. Uh, the other question I had was timeline from our last meeting. And we are trying to pull together the framework for all three lanes by before the end of the year, preferably by before December 1st, of course, which is basically the end of the year. We're hopeful that we will be able to have something completely implemented within the next 6 to 10 years. That's kind of, getting through descheduling and regulation. We do not want to have an ambiguous 180-day window after any rescheduling or descheduling, which is what will happen if we don't give them the framework for regulation. So we really need all of our policy heads to pull together to make it happen.
So is your goal to bring the policy to the US government as like the one?
Well, what I'm hoping is that we can get a full framework in place. So, yeah, basically, within those 3 lanes, we should have the right people to pull together the descheduling lane, which is basically going to be Congress facing meetings. Then within the regulatory lane, which is the real monster, there are 12 different, you've got what, 10 different agencies, 12 different industries at least. Um, so yeah, we need everything that gets us to Medicare reimbursement, everything that gets us to interstate commerce, everything that gets us off of 280E tax treatment, um, everything that gets us out of a legal contradiction to the single alignment treaty. So, yeah, it's a very heavy lift, but I'm looking around at all of these different groups saying, all the pieces of the puzzle are here. And I don't know why I'm not really seeing I'm seeing a lot of excuses, but I'm not really seeing any reason why why we can't get this done. Somebody needs to pick up the ball. And I think the reason why that hasn't happened yet is because there are so many moving pieces. I mean, we really need help from alcohol. We really need help from tobacco. You know, Tobacco can hand us packaging and there's so much we can just take straight away from tobacco and alcohol as far as state um, differences between the states and how they want to regulate and retail cannabis. And they already have such a huge buy-in. I'm talking about big alcohol and big cannabis or big tobacco. They already have a huge investment. And Cannabev wants to come in. And, we need to accommodate that regulation as well. We need to involve alcohol because they want cannabis. Um, I want cannabis reimbursement through Medicare. I'm looking at cancer patients, Parkinson's patients, MS patients, but across the spectrum, there's no access. Um, so, and then the stigma and the social equity and the repair, and we don't want those people to be left behind. The hemp industry has, there are a lot of pieces. Um, they're out there. I think we just need to pull it all together and put it into something practical that can be executed, that's durable, and resolves all of these legal contradictions that we have domestically and internationally. And
Have
that's
you
the
worked on
goal.
something this large before? Have you pulled
Mhm.
something like this together before?
Um, I am I am a team builder. I have not worked with nonprofits. I've always worked in a corporate setting. I've been a consultant. I come from a law family. My dad was a state's attorney and my mom was an accountant. So dinner time was compliance. You know what my dad taught me about law is the most important thing to understand about law is the history behind the intent of the law. And we are talking about legal contradictions that need to be modernized. It's not that we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Like I said, we can take from multi-state. How do you keep this revenue going to the right places in these states? And we can take from the FDA, the USDA. I mean, they've already got, hemp and pharma have already got their thing going. So that's a much easier walk than cannabis and adult recreational and home grow and Medicare reimbursement. So that's where we're at with it. And everybody is up against the wall. We're at that point now where we just need to pull it all together. So I don't mean to get on my soapbox.
No, I loved it. It was a great answer. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So gosh, where am I coming from? So I am the kind of person that I don't know how I end up being in powerful environments. So I've kind of wandered through life meeting interesting people. And what I learned at a really young age was that if I listen really well, I can put deals together. And that's kind of what I do. I listen and I try to troubleshoot, problem solve, figure it out, make it work. When I was a kid, I was taking everything apart. Um, but I think that coming out of real estate, I was looking at, okay, what's my next 20 years going to be? This is what I wanted it to be. This is a monster. It's an elephant in the room. And everybody is like hemming and hawing. And, I'm tired of the special interest and nobody pulling it together. I'm hearing a lot of excuses, for lack of a better term. So, as an organizer, I think in terms of enterprise architecture and a coordinator. So I'm here to facilitate the experts in each of these lanes and try to keep a small army on mission, on task, and moving forward with deliverables every week. Because that's the only way it's going to happen. Okay.
Sounds great. Sounds huge.
Yeah. Well, you know, how does this get done? I was talking to Amanda the other day, and she said, well, the suffragettes ended prohibition, and women ended prohibition on alcohol and
Mm.
ushered in voting. So, and I think that women really need a seat at the table at every level, domestically and internationally. And I think that we'll actually have more success if we have an implicit drive with women behind it. We're a pretty powerful force. So we welcome everyone because it's going to take an army. Let's see. My last big project was I was thrown into the middle of a student luxury living construction project that needed to be leased up in 3 months, and 450 students moved in 3 days. So, somebody thought to call me. So I like fun things. I like big things. Yeah, I'm a very ambitious person. So, and I am very impatient and I'm very pushy and I don't stop. So, yeah.
Hi, Angela. I'm Angelique. We haven't
Hey.
met yet. I'm venturing to
Hey,
guess that
Angelique.
many women in the room here have similar personality and work traits. So
Mm.
nice to meet our fellow gals here. Hi, Mo. Mo's one of my contributors in the magazine. This is fascinating to me. This was not on my radar until this week. So thank you. I don't know if you pushed a note to me or how it landed in my inbox, I think on LinkedIn, but I'm
Right.
excited about this. Honestly, I think this is why many of us choose to face in this direction professionally. We see the gaping voids, we're trying to fill them. It's kind of a fractured system. We try to get involved in trade or industry associations, but we see how segmented and siloed they are in terms of efforts and coordination. So how would we describe ourselves here if we were going to coordinate? Is there an entity structure backing us? Is this a loose network? I'd love to learn a little bit more about that backbone, because as
It's
we think about getting involved and have discussions with some, other formal groups, thinking policy discussions, trade, talks, thinking about a lot of the work the Hemp Beverage Association is doing on the Hill, especially this year, because there's a ticking clock attached to many dollars, right?
so we are an independent coalition, volunteers in formation. Officially, that's where we are. I'm not an NGO. There's no entity here. There's no funding. There's no sponsorship. There's, no institutional framework whatsoever. This is strictly individual volunteer experts that want to work on the mission of pulling it together and getting it done. Yeah. So some people can do that publicly, some people can't, and that's fine. I There are also going to be a lot of people out there that just have institutional constraints, which is fine. We have to move on without them. I mean, we can't let the red tape be an excuse for inaction. Right. So I'm not looking for permission structures or gatekeeping. That won't be tolerated. So, you either lead, follow, or get out of the way. Yeah, this is mission critical.
Yeah, agree. Well, thank you for the invite today. It's
Oh,
fascinating
you're
to learn more.
welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to all the follow-ups and seeing how I can maybe carve some space out in my
Oh,
world to
terrific.
participate. So yeah,
Yeah.
have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Angelique. Thank you for coming. And Mo, thank you for coming as well.
Yeah. I would obviously be in medical as a nurse. Okay, I'm gonna hop off. Looking forward to the
Great.
follow-up. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yes, please bring all your friends. Thank you so much. Carla, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Angela. I'm a little overwhelmed. I'm amazed, I have to say, by the, I couldn't see the detail, but the amount of work that you've put into the documents that you've created. So I didn't really realize that I was stepping into something that you had already given so much thought to. So I applaud that, and I'm curious to know more. I am connected to lots of people, and that's probably where my best value is right now, because I focus on the medical product side. So I don't know how much I can actually contribute, although I understand, because my company works both in the cannabis space, regulated space, and hemp, we have a unique perspective. And so, and in terms of time, I think that we'll probably have to play around and see. I don't know how, again, how this is speaking a different language almost. And I have spent most of my career in nonprofit or in communications. And so I don't understand a corporate anything, which is what I keep bumping up against. And I, like you, I think there's got to be a way to move through this. So I'm grateful that you want to take the bull by the horns. So I think that's the only way to get things down. So
Yeah,
thank you.
I
I'm
just,
anxious to help. I'm not sure what I can do or how, but it should become clearer. And I'm excited enough by what you've done to want to stay connected and then figure out. Now, my company is lobbying. And so, for example, Healer is we're going to be lobbying on 4/20 in DC with part of Leading Age and their lobby day on behalf of older adults. So, but I'm separate from Healer. So I understand, I heard you say we're not lobbying. My organization is, but I am not. Is that a problem?
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay.
Like I said, if you're participating with us, you're participating as an individual contributor.
Wonderful.
We don't want any conflicts to be a barrier to action.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Okay,
Excellent.
great.
I'm really excited about this. Thank you. I don't know how you found me. I'm grateful that you did.
Well,
And
I'm looking for good communicators, and I'm looking for people in the product space because we have a lot of product packaging requirements, right?
absolutely.
So which is what brought up the multi-state lottery system for me. But so yeah, I'm very happy that you're here, and please spread the word, and yeah, please get involved in any way that you can. If you would like to, we would love to have you.
Thank you. So I'll see you next week.
Great.
Great. All
Perfect.
right.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody. It's lovely to meet you all. Thank you again,
Bye-bye.
Angela.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions at all? Okay, well, I think I'm going to log off there, and I'll be sending out a slide and recording. Thank you.